What's up, everybody? Arg the Pirate here, and welcome back to our part 2 of the proof of concept number 4 from Ben and Buff, going over core. And if you missed the part 1, please go check that out. I talked about the shirts, I talked about the stream, I talked about all that good stuff. Love for y'all to check that out. And in this one, we did talk about the core powers, the relics of Paragon, and the damage types, things like that. If you're interested in what I have to say about that, please go check that out. I'm having a lot of fun with these videos, guys. But today, or in this video at least, we are going to focus on the other kind of big elements of core that were released in this proof of concept. And I would like to go over passives first. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with what passives are, I think a good place to look would be Smite. Now, here in Smite, if you're unfamiliar with Smite, Smite's, another third-person MOBA. It's out on pretty much all the platforms, and you can see here, there's a lot of gods, but every single one of these gods has a unique passive. Now, if you see here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 abilities. So if you're playing Paragon, that's, either square, triangle, circle, or X, or, Q, E, R, right click. That's how they were set up. But if you see right here, there's a passive. Now, each passive is very unique for each god. You're not going to see Agni, who's, throwing fire everywhere, shooting water cannons. It's a very specific buff or passive that only applies to him. There is no ranking up on this. This is just an inherent thing. Now, Agni has Combustion. After 4 hits with basic attacks, Agni will gain a buff. And you get to see this cool little emblem that shows you your buff is up right there. And on the next cast of Flame Wave or Rain Fire, which are his main damage dealing abilities, all enemies hit by those abilities will additionally be set ablaze and take tick damage every half second for 3 seconds. Pretty standard stuff. You have to know the ins and outs of your heroes. You have to know, okay, I need to stack this up 4 times, and then I will use it. And you can see that tick damage even has scaling built into it. So you could almost think of this as a 5th ability. Sure, it is better on some heroes or some gods than others. There are some pretty kind of halfway useless passives, but there are some good ones. And if you see here, we have Amazim Cobb, I think is his name. He's the bug man. His passive and Agni's passive they're kind of closely related. If you see here, enemies affected by bees take damage every 0.5 seconds for 2 seconds and are revealed on the minimap and swarm nearby enemies. Basic attacks refresh and extend the duration of bees by 1 second. So if you basic attack somebody, you're basically doing that 0.5 second tick damage for 3 seconds and so on. So you can just continue to stack up bees on that enemy or continue that as long as you hit them with 2 or any of his other abilities that you can see here applies bees. And that's what you want. It just gives them that little stacking damage. And, hey, these passives are very close together in a sense. Agni's giving you a steady dot, while Amazon Cobb's giving you a little bit different of a dot. But there are gods that have, completely unique passives that are much more than that, like Dragon King Sword for Ao Kuang. Now, Dragon King Sword, each time Ao Kuang successfully executes an enemy with his ultimate, which is his 4, he gains a stack of magical power and lifesteal, and it stacks up to 3 times, and the stacks are permanent, and you get this sword right here that fills up with, each time you execute somebody, and it's 15 magical power and 5% magical lifesteal every stack, so 45 power, 15 lifesteal. And I think that's very, very cool. It does add a sense of, you're not just good with this hero, you know the ins and outs of their entire kit, you know how they sync up well, I do like that. Now, I definitely think passives are worth exploring within core. And the next passive I want to go over is actually Nike's. Now, this kind of wraps up into our next thing, so good segue point. But Nike's passive is she sets 3 goals for the team to achieve, and when they achieve it, it increases their strength. upon completing a goal, each teammate gets a laurel that increases their power and movement speed. And if you see here, there's goal 1. Eliminate 10 gods. Now, this is team-wide. So as soon as your team gets 10 god kills, hey, boom, you get that first bump. The second one is enemy minions. As soon as you kill 250 enemy minions, boom, you get the next bump. And then the last one is you get 2 heroes on, or 2 gods on your team to level, max level. You get the third bump, and that fully upgrades her passive. Now, the reason I bring this up is because in, let's see, where we go. There we go. In Core, we're going to have a thing called Hero Ability Focuses. Now, this is a very cool thing, and if you play Heroes of the Storm, you might be familiar with it. You know, it's kind of like a quest. It's an objective that you have to do individually to get the most out of your kit. Now, they use the example of Twin Blast. Now, Twin Blast, he's going to have 2 focuses. One focus is going to be over his Rocket Dash. So, once you complete the focus, his Rocket Dash will grow in power. Maybe it'll go further, or, you know, I think the example that they gave was after you use it, you will get a movement speed increase. So, you know, you boom and, you know, get 20% movement speed for 2 seconds or something. Once you complete that focus. There's another one that's, you know, his grenades would be the other focus. So you can focus on his grenades, and maybe they'll add a slow, or add a further range, or maybe they'll explode on impact instead of bouncing. Something like that. These are the focuses you work on. And you, for each focus, you will have to complete the requirements to enhance the ability. So maybe with Twin Blast, with his Rocket Dash, you have to get a kill on an enemy hero 3 times shortly after doing a Rocket Dash. So that means, you know, hey, if you're shooting them and you're about to kill them, maybe Rocket Dash and then boom, and hey, that'll stack that up. And with the grenades, maybe you have to, you know, hit 10 enemies with, you know, hit 10 enemies with grenade, and boom, that upgrades that focus to where, you know, yeah, you get that added bonus. So I like this idea, guys. I think this is a very cool idea. It definitely needs to be explored. That paired with the passives, it's a lot. You know, that's a lot. Those are a lot of unique elements that we haven't seen in Paragon, and no other MOBA is currently doing, you know, all of that all put together. So it will be interesting to balance them out. Of course, at high level play, you know, at high level play, you're going to have just a solid meta, right? These are the best items, and that's it. At more casual, lower level play, you know, you're going to adapt that towards, like, hey, I like having the movement speed after I Rocket Dash over using the grenades more, even though one might, you know, mathematically be better for you, you know, create better damage or things like that. You know, you will be able to further customize your hero to your liking. And, you know, at the end of the day, everybody plays video games to have fun, and anytime you can have an effect over your hero, you 100% change how that hero interacts. You know, it's customized to you. That's always a great feeling. Okay, now that we've got those out of the way, let's talk about some reworks. Now we got a couple of reworks ideas, and I think, you know, we'll definitely have to see what comes up. But first up, we have Twin Blast. Now, the couple of rework ideas or just changes that they kind of told us they're testing. Again, guys, all this is being tested. It's all subject to change, all that good stuff. But Twin Blast, as a hero passive, he will have consecutive shots will increase his movement speed. Now, as you all know, Twin Blast was the fastest of the, you know, ranged ADCs in Paragon. You know, he had Rocket Dash, where everybody else just walked slow. So, you know, that's cool. That's further showing that Twin Blast is that movement speed ADC. You know, he's getting around quickly and getting in your face, and having that passive that where, you know, it kind of, you know, it says that within his kit. Yeah, we want him to be that quick hero. I like that. And then his ultimate will work with his passive to convert his stacked up movement speed into attack damage stacks. So, you know, if you jump into a fight and you're like, okay, I need to I want that little boost of damage. You use your ultimate, you're going to lose your attack movement speed, but now you're in that fight. You're starting that fight, and you're going to start cranking out that damage. So you really have to learn how to use not only his passive, but how to use his ultimate in regards to his passive. I think that's an absolute awesome idea. And again, I think the passives are great. They are going to take some balancing, but I think they'll be good. Next up, we have Muriel, and her passive grants damage reduction to allies when her shield breaks and to help reduce burst damage. Now, I don't know how I feel about this. You know, Muriel's shields are already pretty strong, and if you're going to give protections beyond her shield, you know, it's going to take some rework. Maybe her shields will be lower than her actual, the shield percentage will be lower, so that way her passive will be better. And then, you know, people with like true damage can, you know, just straight up negate those protections. You know, like if you're shielding your, you know, front line and, you know, their Twin Blast has full pin, you know, hey, her protections aren't going to do a whole lot. You know, just something to think about. I don't know. We'll see how she turns out. She does have insane attack speed right now in one of these little clips. I mean, she's just teeing off, man. I mean, just that little clip right there, you know, that. Look at this attack speed, though. I mean, that is crazy, crazy fast. So there's definitely a few things that they're going to have to work on. But again, guys, this is proof of concept. There's still a long ways to go. Oh, excuse me. Let me grab some water. And now we'll talk Howie. Now, Howie's... I think Howie was probably one out of the zoning mid laners. You know, you had Gadget, Gideon, and Howie. Howie was probably the most, the highest skill cap mid lane, in my opinion. You know, knowing when to go in with Gideon's ult was definitely a thing. But you know, Howie didn't really have a solid escape. You know, you had to put the thing down and then position yourself correctly to get out. Or, you know, he had his ultimate where he flew up in the air and then could kind of boop himself out that way. You know, also his bombs, you know, they weren't the same kind of slow as like a Seek and Destroy from Gadget. But, okay, let's talk about Howie. If I can find my mouse. There we go. Okay, I'm messing things up. There we go. So, here we go. Howitzer, his passive will act like a third resource and will impact his damage output. Now, guys, whenever I hear this, I'm thinking Howitzer is going to have... I think what they mean by a third resource is maybe like there's a mana bar, there's a health bar, and then Howitzer's going to have a third bar. And this bar is going to be, you know, maybe a charging bar where, like, you know, the more basic, successful basic attacks he hits, the more fuel he gets, or, you know, the more of this special resource. Maybe it's like, you know, explosive nature or whatever. And once that bar's filled up, his R2000 or his ultimate will hit much harder. You know, something along those lines. That's what I'm thinking. Or maybe maybe once it's fully charged, it gives those abilities a special added ability. Like, we can see this rocket fly. His R2000 right here, when he shoots it, look at it. It's traveling pretty slow. So maybe if his resources are faster, the R2000 flies faster. Something along those lines. Again, we'll have to see. But, you know, it's a cool aspect. We're getting some changes to Howitzer because, for everyone knows, Howitzer kind of fell off the map after V42. There were just easier, faster options. So hopefully he comes back. But the next thing is slow grenades can be launched individually. That's very cool. So maybe like you hold the button down and it charges up all three and boop, boop, boop. Or you can just shoot one at a time to slow an individual target. I know that was always a concern of mine with Howitzer, is because I didn't play him all that much, and it was hard to aim those grenades where you actually wanted them, you know, because, yeah, you're shooting the ones on the side, so you're not just aiming right in front of you, you're aiming everywhere. And I think that could be cool. I'm definitely interested in seeing that. His ultimate has been changed too, and there's actually a clip of his ultimate coming up right here. So basically what happens when he uses his ult, he stands still and launches missiles. If you see here, look at all the missiles. And then, once all the missiles are launched, then he flies up in the air and shoots his big nuke, and you saw it come down right there. This, I think, is the biggest change of Howitzer. You know, that's pretty massive because, again, Howitzer, you know, more at lower level, but Howitzer's ultimate was kind of one part of his escape, you know, mechanics. You know, he had a pretty short cooldown, and, you know, everybody gets caught out every once in a while, and you could get caught out and fly up in the air, and maybe it was long enough for your team to rotate, because, you know, you could just stay there hovering for a while, or you could use it, fly up real fast, and then jump away really, really quickly, and then use your boot grenade to, you know, keep people back a little bit further. Landmine, right? But, you know, I see that as a thing. We'll have to wait and see what we really get out of that, but it's definitely something to keep in mind. You know, they are working on it. And again, guys, right now is the most critical time for input that we could give as consumers, as players, as just nerds, because, you know, all these games, it's not just core. They're looking for that input because, you know, everybody has great ideas on how something can work better, and they can right now. They can, if you have an idea that you want to share it with them. Maybe they can implement it, try it out, and see if it will actually work. You know, that would be incredible. So, guys, definitely, if you have ideas, please join MetaBuff's Discord. Join all the Paragon 2 Discords, and you know, express your feelings, because yes, they are looking for opinions from all of us. And you know, that's kind of it, guys. This was. I think we will see a big improvement over the next couple of proof of concepts, just because Thanksgiving's finally out of the way. I know these guys have been so overworked, so hopefully we see some improvements there, and we can start enjoying this, you know, really breaking these maps down again and everything like that. I'm having an absolute blast. Guys, I'm tired, I'm sorry, but I'm having an absolute blast coming out with these videos and really breaking these down. You know, look at this, man. It just looks so good. There's definitely a few little polishing things here and there, but it looks so good, man. You know, and we've got the flame skin. What wasn't this the Founders Pack skin, or was it the purple one that was the Founder Pack skin? I can't remember. But yeah, the Hot Rod skin, very, very cool. And again, we see that ultimate. You know, I'm excited. I'm excited either way. But again, I definitely will stress to everybody, y'all, go out and give your opinions over these games, because yes, they're looking for them. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Thanks for watching, guys. I really hope y'all enjoyed. Let me know if y'all like me breaking the videos up and everything like that. And as always, I'll see y'all in the next video.